Hello and welcome to this video where I'm going to show you how to make a 3D flower mum card, which can be used for a birthday or for a Mother's Day card, or actually even Easter. The card's been made by the 3D Spring Daffodils craft in die by Sue Wilson. The Mothering Sunday moonstone, or on Mothering Sunday, which is quite unusual because normally they say Happy Mother's Day. And then I've used the Dotty Initials again, the M and the U. And then I've also used the Gold Fusion ink pad to add some colour to the daffodils, and the Prism ombre ink pad in green to add a bit of colour to the leaves. I've cut out the daffodil parts and I've cut a complete one in green, and then I cut a second one in the yellow, but I've chopped off the head of the daffodil, and then I've cut out the trumpet. Now I think they're a little bit flat like this, so I've added some colour to mine. And I've been using the Apricot Gold Fusion. So let me just move my green base out of the way. So all I'm doing, and I'm going to bring in my reel of sellotape, or a pair of scissors work really well for this, and I'll show you why. So I'm just going to pick up my ink. I'm just going to come across, and I'm going to do the trumpet first, and I'm just going to put it around the top of the trumpet. So I'm just taking off the excess, just giving it a little sort of rub around, just little circular motions, and you can see that's instantly lifted the flower. And with this, the outline of the main part of the daffodil, I'm just going to go round, just rubbing the edges. Now just a quick word about your card. So this yellow is yellow all the way through, so it's yellow on both sides, and when you cut it, let me just, it's yellow on the edge as well. Quite often, sometimes if I show you this piece of card, you can see it's white on the bottom and coloured on the top. So if you cut this out, what you would get is white edging. Now I would always colour that in, because it doesn't, I think it detracts from the look of your flower, because you wouldn't find a daffodil with white on one side and yellow on the other side. The other thing also you have to bear in mind is that if you're 3D'ing up your trumpets, the inside of the trumpet is going to show, so you need to have that the same color or slightly different color. It doesn't matter. Now if you've got pens, brush pens are great for doing that, or you could color it with the ink before you fold it up. And what I was going to show you with my sponge, if I pop it in there, it sits really nicely and doesn't roll around anywhere, so I don't get ink everywhere. So that was my daffodils, and I wanted to just add a little bit of colour to the stem, because leaves aren't just one green. So I've taken, this is the Prism ombre ink pad, which contains 3 blendable shades, which I think is great. I use these quite a lot. So I'm just going to pull up some of the ink here, and I'm just going to run it over one side really. Now I didn't think this would show up that much, but when it dries you can actually see a difference, and that's all it needs. Now you could just leave it with the green and pop the daffodil on the top, but I didn't really want the green showing through, so I'm just going to make a snip down one side, snip down the other, and then one across the top. You want to leave an area for your daffodil to sit on. Now I'm ready to start folding my trumpet. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold over these little prongs. So bend them right over. So that's those. And then I'm also going to bend over one edge of these, because that's the bit that's going to glue it together. And then I'm going to continue round, and this is the point where it all gets a little bit messy and I become a bit of a toddler and get glue everywhere. So the first bit I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this side here. So I'm just going to run some glue down there when it comes out. Now I wouldn't worry too much if you've got too much on there, because this is a clear drying glue. So I'm going to, now this is really fiddly, you can use your tweezers, so I'm going to fold it round, just move the prongs out of the way, and I'm going to join it up, and I'm going to sit there for a minute or so holding it. Now ideally you don't want to use too thick a card for this this design, because it won't fold neatly. Okay, let's hold in. So I'm then going to hold it while I do my prongs. So I've got it glued here and I'm holding that. So I'm just going to bend these out the way slightly, because I'm going to fold them over one by one. So I'm going to fold the first one over, like so. Bit of glue. When it comes out again, it's got a long way to go down that nozzle. There we go. That's my first bit. So then I'm going to fold over my second piece, hold that there for a second, then add some more glue. Cool, there we go. Fold over my third piece, pushing it down, because ideally you want to get a flat base. That's it. And now my last piece, and fold that over. Just takes a second, you don't want to rush this, just needs to have that minute or so to adhere to each other, and it doesn't take that long to dry. There we go, and there is one of my trumpets. So I'm going to leave that to dry for a minute. I want this to be a little bit more rounded, so I've got my ballpoint thing, and I'm just going to run it down each of the flowers, and it's just going to lift each of the petals, sorry, it's just going to lift the petals up, so it's going to look more realistic, because a daffodil just isn't flat. So do this gently, and you can go back over it and you can pull it round to make it as rounded as you want. So that's my flower. So I'm going to take my pad out of the way, and the first thing I'm going to do, this is dried now, is I'm going to pull these back slightly, and actually I should have probably coloured the inside of my trumpets as well, which I haven't done. Let me just grab my sponge and see. We can add a bit of colour on the inside. There we go. That's it. So you just bend them back just gently. Now I would advise doing this before you stick it to your flower, because I forgot, and yeah, it wasn't great. So then I'm just going to pop a bit of glue in the middle here, pop my trumpet on my daffodil, and then I'm going to push down in the center. Now don't worry if this goes a bit skew with, because just remember these are flowers, and flowers really aren't well, I'm not saying they're not perfect, but they are different shapes, and they could have been blown in the wind and all sorts. So there's my daffodil head. So the last thing I've got to do is to just attach it to my green stem. There we go. So by cutting off that daffodil at the top, it doesn't show through, and there is one of my daffodils, and I've got a whole host of them to put on my card. I'm now ready to start assembling my card, and this one is I've gone back to the old easel card, which I really love. So I've cut out a 10" by 7" card, scored down the middle at 5" to fold it in half, and then scored down at 2.5 so that it creates the easel part. I've then cut a 5 by 7 oblong to go in on the top, and then I've cut a 2.5 by 7 to be the part that holds the easel in place. Now when I playing around with this, I felt it just needed something around the edges, so I've reverted back to one of my peel-offs. So I'm just going to lay this down. Now I'm not going to push very hard at the moment, because if it all goes a bit wrong I can pull it off. So it's just literally laying it, and this one is brilliant because I can line up the points with the edge of my card. Right, so I'm happy with that, so I'm going to give it a press, and then I'm going to flip it over and cut off that excess. Now don't ever throw these away, because that will do for something, and I've always popped it back on my sheet like that. Now what I would suggest is playing with these before you stick them down, because I mean, there is such a variety of ways that you could do this. Admittedly this isn't going to lay flat, but and then I've also used my Dotty Initials to make the word mum. So that's quite a quick and easy card to do, and I think anyone is going to be thrilled to receive a bunch of daffodils. Have fun creating. Thanks for watching.